Hello and welcome back to the SuperCoach Experience podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Savage, and I'm the coach of the Savage Turbos, yet to be determined for the 2023 season. We haven't done our signings yet for the season, but today is going to get us through some signings and some talking points of SuperCoach. I'm joined here by the whiz of the team. Yes, I do all the graphics and everything, but this guy right next to me is the one that is the whiz. Jake, how are you?
Yeah, good, mate. I wouldn't say much of a whiz. It was, what was it, 2 years ago? I think it was during COVID lockdown. Everyone was that bored. I was like, I might, do a bit of stuff in Excel and create a bit of a team picker. And then last year, just sort of threw all the data in, and then, create a bit of a team picker. Of a bit of an, an estimation of what we expect their prices to be for next season.
It's funny. You've kind of done it every season and we've kind of known it's there, but we haven't actually utilized it properly. So I thought we would get this podcast out nice and early, well before the SuperCoach Team Picker comes out, because let's be honest, once that comes out, it becomes redundant. So this is for the people who really want to start planning early, and you have given them the avenue to do it. Obviously, it is not going to be as accurate as the actual SuperCoach one will be, but this is probably as close as it's going to get, right?
Yes, I guess I'll explain it a little bit. So the prices are determined based on averages. Every year it's based on the previous year's averages, and there's always a magic number depending on what the salary cap is. So what we've got in this one is based on a 10 mil cap, which was last year's. We expect that to go up. They're fighting for it still. So that's why SuperCoach really hasn't given us any indication on what prices are going to be, because they don't know what the magic number is, because they don't know what the cap is. So just say that it goes up 400K. We expect all the prices of the players to go up about 4%, just to sort of make that difference in that cap, just so it's all balanced together. So the prices are going to be pretty similar in terms of building a team based on what the cap's going to be. But I mean, there's some new players like John Bateman coming back. Don't know what he's going to be. They usually give discounts on injured players, that like someone like a Christian Welch might be discounted. So it's a lot of it's just a bit of a guess in terms of those players, but in terms of the ones that played the whole season, it's going to be pretty accurate. Well, not pretty accurate, I guess, based on in or around those prices.
Yeah, it is pretty hard to determine with players who haven't played a certain amount of games and how they kind of do them discounts. But at least, we've got as close as we can here. And honestly, the timing couldn't be more perfect. The draw was released today, and the SuperCoach pages have gone crazy, and I can't believe it. It feels like it's SuperCoach preseason already, even though BBL hasn't even started.
Yeah, it was crazy. The same sort of thing. The draw sort of dropped, and everyone was going, all right, what teams have to buy? All right, can we start with this player? Oh, we might have to stay away because they have an early buy. It was pretty chaotic. And yeah, kind of got SuperCoach NRL, back in the limelight for the time being, until I guess BBL takes over and the gloss sort of goes off the NRL draw.
I think BBL will be talked about, but NRL SuperCoach is going to be what we absolutely sweat over in this off season. So just before we do get into this, 29th of November, it's a Tuesday. It's going to be our first BBL podcast. That's 2 weeks before the BBL season starts. And then we'll roll into the BBL season. We'll aim for every Tuesday night, but we'll aim for every lockout. Lockout is a bit difficult, but if we don't make lockout, then Tuesday night is what we've kind of set our sights on. So we'll see how we go with that. It is always hard in the BBL season, but nonetheless, we'll try and do what we can do. But yeah, we thought we'd get into something like this right now because it just seems like no better time. Let's get into it, Jake. So we've got it here on the screen. If you're listening in your audio, we'll just try and describe it as much as we can. But if you are watching, it is here for you to see. We have the salary cap of $10 million. We have the hookers to the fullbacks. And as Jake said, he's expecting it to go up 400,000, which is 4% of 10 million. And that will inflate the prices of everyone else. These prices are based on the average, so will be pretty accurate. Jake, I'll let you hit it off.
Yeah, well, I guess we might get you to sort of make a team. We'll go through some of the price of players. So down the bottom, I guess if you're on your phone and using this, you might not be able to actually use the selection panel like this one, the drag down box. You kind of have to have Excel to use that feature. But if you're not, like we'll try them before, and Savs didn't have Excel, but you could still see all this information. So all this will have the prices sort of worked out for you, and you'll be able to go through these tabs and sort of see what the estimated prices will be for the players. But in terms of hooker Savs, who are you sort of thinking? Maybe got the premiums: Harry Grant, 80K, Damien Cook, 659K, Reece Robson, 565.
It's so tough because obviously Harry Grant is the one we want to go with, but we have to look at value here. We know that Brandon Smith,
and we also have to look at draw now.
exactly.
And not so much draw, but also buys.
Yeah, draws and buys. So I think it's not so much the draw, it's going to be price and early buys for me. So with me, Harry Grant was obviously my first pick, but he's going to be a luxury pick for me. Brandon Smith is going to train the preseason at hooker. So I think I'm going to go Brandon Smith at 399,000 based on this team picker. And obviously with the Roosters, there is a lot of options, but this is just my thought process in building a team. I want to save as much cash where I can with a cheapie I'm happy with. And if I have to tweak it here and there, then I will. I'm hoping that I will have some bank later to upgrade Brandon Smith. But that being said, he could be an absolute bargain option for that price.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on the minutes. And I guess a few cheapies or cheaper players that we potentially can look at. Simpkin, Little has left the Tigers. He's gone with the Dragons, so Simpkin potentially can move into more minutes. Little looks like potentially the only hooker at the Dragons now, with Macca retiring today. Big McCallum.
However, 389,000.
Yes.
Sitting on the pine for round one.
Yes. Dragons do have the bye.
The Dragons have the first bye. So
but Simpkin you can expect about 285K. And I guess the one that we're going to be really looking at is who replaces Api Coruscant. You expect Mitch Kenny to be about 258. And then hopefully the guy that actually starts is Sonny Luke at 192. He's going to be, quite cheap. He's almost bottom. He should almost be bottom dollar, but having played a few games and having a somewhat decent average, you expect that to be a little bit higher. But like it's been in the past, Hookers has been pretty ordinary. So the
way I like to play it here is initially I would go Sonny Luke, but I would probably go with Mitch Kenny, just so you've got that buffer in case Sonny Luke does get that starting position. If he gets that starting position, then you can downgrade and upgrade elsewhere later on. But at least you've got that backup option of knowing you can fit him into your team regardless.
And I guess the thing that we're going to have to really think about is these positions that are thin. So being your hooker, halfback, 5'8", fullback, you've only have two positions. You kind of need a decent backup for when your starting player has a bye. And Brandon Smith, he has a bye, I think, round 4.
Jesus.
You kind of be wanting. I mean, I can't wait for this season. I know Mikey's going to be absolutely frothing it to bits with the buys because he loves it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really good. I'm really excited for it as well. Is there anyone in this position that you're liking as well? Just by looking at it, have they changed roles or anything like that you want to keep an eye
on? See, I didn't really think there was much guys that I guess could move into roles. One guy who I liked, he started hooker but actually went to lock for the Titans, was Aaron Wayne Clark.
I see this guy. I saw you hovering.
And I don't know, I didn't rate him much of a play, but he went to lock and was playing about 60, 65 minutes at lock and was looking quite good and scoring well. So, I mean, he can, and the thing with him is you expect him to be hooker second row. You can also flip him. Say you have both of them, him and Brandon Smith, you can potentially swap them around, which would be ideal. But again, risky one. I like Reece Robson. The Cowboys don't have a bye till like round 14, so you can kind of lock him in there till pretty much the whole season. And I think he's proved himself to be almost up to Harry Grant's standard.
I actually really like I do like Reece Robson as well, but I really like that Aaron Clark shout. Maybe it's second row, just at the price. But yeah, I really like that one as well. Manisi Fainu, I mean, he's probably just in there for.
Yeah, I mean, he was in
Right.
there last year, so the data's always just I've just
Yeah.
dumped the data. I went through and tried to get rid of some players that were had retired and stuff, but then you might see the odd player that doesn't belong.
We've also got where are we? Josh Hodgson. So where's he? He is here at 394,000.
But you expect that to be a discount though, so you expect it to be less than that
Yes.
because he only played one game.
Yeah. So
That's
that
like
could
what we're talking about.
that could potentially be 350 to 300 maybe. But if it is that price, he'll be starting hooker for the Parramatta Eels. I mean,
But for how long?
yeah, exactly. I don't hate it. He'd be someone I'd have to watch out for. Let's go into the front rowers if you've got nothing else.
Yeah, no, front rows.
So obviously, it goes from highest to lowest, and the highest there, surprisingly, Tino.
Yeah, speak Tino. He kind of flew under the radar all of last year, but he pumped out some scores. Now, one I guess I have changed in this is I don't expect Isaiah Papali'i to be front rower this year, so I've taken him out and put him at second row only because he didn't play any middle last year. So that's going to be a big one that we're going to lose in the front row. But there's some pretty good premium options. I mean, Tino 587, Tarpanay, who was absolute machine. If he can continue how he did in the back half of last year, 583. He could be the premium forward. Clem, I'm surprised by. Really,
I gotta be honest. Just looking at this, nothing is absolutely out of it's not crazy. So all these players are quite affordable. Even the lower tier options, I'm looking at them and they look quite juicy. Christian Welch, that could be at a discount as well because he was popular a couple of seasons ago. They're going to need him, Melbourne. So he is a massive watch if he is fit. There's another one I just saw there that was around that mark, right above him, Matt Lodge at 430,000. That's a pretty good price considering what he did at the end of the year. But
I don't think he's got a club yet, has he?
He doesn't. But with players like him, I think you got to watch out. The bigger guys tend to take a while to warm into it.
So I guess a few prices that we can expect from the guys who aren't watching but maybe listening. Christian Welch, you probably expect him around 430, potentially less because he only played one game and averaged 49 in that. So again, that injury discount maybe. Otherwise, Payne Haas about 550, but I don't know. The Payne Haas of last year just wasn't what we come to expect from him.
He only got front rower of the year. It wasn't a very good season for him.
Yeah, I mean in terms of SuperCoach output.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know. We all know we watch the game as a SuperCoach fan, but rugby league wise, I don't think he did that well either. I think it was just kind of a mix of things. Ruben Cotter was my front row of the year. Him up there at 520,000. He probably didn't play enough games to quite get there, but what are your thoughts on him next season? I think he'll have big minutes, but there's a lot of minutes to go around there in that.
I've highlighted too. I've highlighted Tohu Harris and Ruben Cotter. Aren't currently front row. Last year they went front row, but I expect them to get front row. I mean, Tohu Harris pretty much played front row the whole season last year, or the back half of the season. And Ruben Cotter, he was also playing majority at number 10. So I mean, those two are probably going to be dual flexibility. You expect them probably front row, second row for both of those guys. And
yep,
I don't know. I don't mind them at around the 530 mark. I guess having that dual flexibility, which we all seem to like in our front rows, because let's be honest, they aren't the most exciting players in our SuperCoach side.
Who else do you like? Like it seems like there's a lot of starting players, but they're not quite. Nothing is a home run.
And I think in previous years, it's always been the front rowers. We want some cheap guys in there, and I guess with that risk comes they are cheap for a reason. So you kind of want to look at new players going to new sides. This guy, Jack Hetherington, is it going to be a bounce back for him? Knights potentially on an edge.
Yep.
At 278, I know he burnt us. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? Everyone got him in, and wasn't quite the player that we hoped for. I think I stayed away from him that year.
That's the kind of guy you look at. That's the kind of guy you look at, and that's the kind of guy you got to start with, and you get to upgrade him elsewhere. Like, he'll hold his value. You'll be able to play him at least. You'll be able to play him sometimes if you really need to. But yeah, I don't hate him as an option. There's one that just tickled my fancy not too long ago, and I've lost him. But okay, we've got Aaron Penne.
Yeah, back at the Storm.
Back to the Storm. And we've also got, we've got these Roosters players, Fletcher Baker. We've got, do we have Ian Butcher in there, or he's not front row? He's not front row. But Spencer Linu, there's talks that he is off to the Bulldogs potentially for the 2023 season. So if that happens at 257,000 at this stage, I think that's a nice little cheapy prospect. Anything else you have?
Not really in front row, I guess. Stefano, does he? I mean, he was a flop last year, but that was injury plagued. Does he get more of a run, more minutes? And then I guess we just kind of rely on cheapies like we always do in the front row, because, like we said, they're not all that exciting.
All right, so let's fill out our front row. Who's going to be our gun?
Don't know, Savs. Who do you like?
Let's start with Cotter.
Yeah.
Start with Cotter, and then I like Cotter because he's a smaller guy, and he's gonna. Actually, I told myself I'm gonna choose limited people who are backing out from the World Cup. So there's.
There's a bit of a different, like a time delay between the World Cup finishing and.
Yeah. Now let's stick with Cotter, because Tino, bloody Josh Papali'i, Tapane, they're all playing in the World Cup. So yeah, we'll start with Cotter, and then maybe we'll go to mid price like a Christian Welsh.
Yeah, I love Christian Welsh. I loved him 2 years ago, I think it was. I think it was the only player I held for the entire year, Christian Welsh.
Yeah, he was really good, and he got better. Like, he just kept going.
And I think with Melbourne, they've lost pretty much their entire forward pack, so someone has to do all the work, and he's pretty much their best forward.
We've also got, I was potentially going to put in Tavita Pangai Jr. I know we have our preseason podcast, and we'll go over this when it happens, but the attitude is different. Cameron Ciraldo is coming with a new hot attitude, and he promised his coach he's going to lose, I think,
which he's already lost the weight. He's already lost it because he did the boxing.
Yeah,
with Sonny Bill.
And he absolutely pumped that.
Yeah, he flattened him.
Yeah, he pumped him. So Tavita Pangai Jr. is going to be even smaller. Tavita Pangai Jr.'s.
Yeah, they're probably still as damaging. And I guess he's probably going to be around the same price as Christian Welsh. Probably a bit more. You're probably maybe expecting him to be a bit less, around the 430, 440 mark.
Yeah.
So you're getting a big discount on him.
I'll probably toss up between them two because I can't have that as a front row on my pine. I think we fill up the bench spots with 250k players. So we'll go Hetherington and Linu, or Hetherington and someone else at that price.
Well, I've made a cheapie selection, because there's a bunch of names down here in the front row that no one really knows.
Yeah,
aren't going to get a run. But I've added a cheapie front row option, so I guess fill your cap out.
Yep.
So let's assume a cheapie front row appears.
See if we can upgrade later. Second row. So IPAP starts off. He's not playing front row this year, so it's going to be interesting with him, because in the past he's been a front rower for SuperCoach, and he's had the output of a second row. Yes, he's been consistent, but will people jump on him as quick this year?
I think everyone's going to stay away from him at the Tigers. He's not going to be running off Mitch Moses. I think at the Tigers he's going to be the most expensive forward by a long shot. He's going to be nearly 700k based on last year, where Cam Murray, the next guy, is at 224.
Yeah.
At 624, sorry. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be very highly owned at all.
Definitely not. I think right now, I want to lock in this guy, number 13, David Fafita, 575,000. Is he underpriced?
Well, he started last year, 750 or something.
Yep, he
So he's
did.
definitely underpriced. It's whether we get the David Fafita or the Justin Holbrook David Fafita.
But this was a consistent thing throughout the whole season. So he's underpriced at his worst,
Yes.
or at his average. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But he will be very popular preseason, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, if he gets a starting spot and you don't have, I mean, we don't have an annoying Proctor anymore or some spud that they throw at second row that really annoys us super coaches. I mean, if he's going to get 80 minutes at second row, then he's going to be a lock-in for everyone. I mean, he's a basically 200K discount on what he was last year.
Mm-hmm. Also, for anyone watching, if you want to be able to use this team picker for yourself, you got to join the SuperCoach Experience discussion group on Facebook.
Then we'll put a link to that as well. So that's from our main page.
And we'll pin that on the top so everyone can just click into it. Have you got like a click tracker so you can see how many people are clicking on it?
No, mate. It's just a spreadsheet.
Okay.
I'm not that good with code and all that.
There are a lot of names here at similar prices, but nothing completely jumps out to me. There's Olakwatu, 569, Nanai, 549, Madison, 580, potentially going back to the edge, playing 80.
But missing the first 4 games because he doesn't like to pay.
Oh, there you go, because he loves money. He loves money.
But I guess Angus Crichton's going to be 581, so he's going to be around the same price. And based on what Angus Crichton can do, the Roosters issue again, I think they have a round 4 bye, or round 5 bye.
And the Roosters,
they start with the Dolphins.
And they always start very slow. Angus Crichton always seems to start on the right side for the Roosters every year and then always shifts to the left. One I want to throw at you.
Yeah.
Jermaine Hopgood. He's on the bench for me in a heartbeat.
There he's there. Just over 300K.
But that's 300K based on one game of 67, right?
On Hopgood.
Yeah,
he played an average of 35.5. Is that what you're talking about, Hopgood?
Yeah, so I think he played 2 games then. He played 2 games. One game was against the Cowboys. He played and got 67. He must have played another game. I'll check it for you, but there was someone else around that price range that was very good.
Yeah.
We've got so many players. Like there's Jack Murchie who's going over to Elias
Katoa. Storm.
Actually, yes, there is so many players in this price range that are going to kill it. Katoa, Niokore, Kelma Tuolangi from he's probably maxed out. Luke Garner, Zach Hosking.
Yeah, Helam Lukey, if he's back from his ACL injury, I don't think Luch is going to be playing. So there's a lot of players, a lot of second row players between the 300 to 370 mark. Like we've got, like your Lukey, Garner, Niokore, Katoa, Hopgood. You assume he could get start over Madison for the first 4 rounds. So there's a lot of players that
let's fill it with these mid-price players. Let's fill it with these mid-price players because I think this is going to be the way we go. We may be able to fit, maybe another top tier forward, but depending on where we go at halfback and fullback, which is going to be a massive talking discussion for the preseason, this might be the area where we can get some value.
And I guess Mikey loves a magic midi, so I think there's going to be quite a few of them in the back row for Mikey to enjoy. I have not thrown Garner in here, Savs, because I expect Garner to be centre wing and second row dual. So we might use him later.
Okay.
Do we want to throw him at centre?
Yeah, let's get Katoa there, though.
Oh, I've not got him.
Yeah, we'll get Elias Katoa in there. So just for people watching, we've filled out our second row, our front row, and our hookers. Our remaining salary is $5.9 million. We've still got one more to put in, but less than half of our cap has been taken up, and we've still got the backs to go. So I think this
One guy was looking at potentially Sean Bloor.
Sean Bloor,
Hopefully
yeah.
he doesn't get a season-ending injury again. Be good to go. Nice 219K.
There's always that bottom price cheapie in that last second row slot, so I like it. They've lost so many second rows, so he will have to fill in.
Yeah, you expect it to be potentially him and IPAP. I don't really think they have anyone else. It's really to play
That's
second
true.
row for him.
Halfback. I did a draft fill in this
And you had the
afternoon.
same two halfbacks, didn't you?
I had number 4 and number 5, Nico Hines and Nathan Cleary. Is there any other way you would consider going? I think if a cheapie pops up, maybe.
Yeah, and I think on the cheapies, potentially Volkman, but 300K for a Warriors 5'8". Not really.
Katoa.
Yeah, see, do you think he gets a spot at the Dolphins to begin with? He was quite good for Tonga. You got Milford and O'Sullivan are the only ones that I think will beat him out to the position.
Milford and O'Sullivan are the favourites to start, but I don't know. I think
the problem is this year we cannot run enough or such cheap player that we expect to get put in later at these key positions. Center wing, fine, do it. We've got 3 spare ones, but I mean Cleary's got the buy in round 2, 3, 3 because Manly a second. 3. Cleary has a buy in round 3, so if you're on Cleary in a cheapie, you're hoping that cheapie plays. Otherwise, you have to waste a trade on Nathan Cleary and then to bring him back in. So
that's true, and I also think in them sort of positions, you want to make money early and be able to use them players that you don't have as downgrade options later in the season when they actually do play. So at least you get to watch them. You get to bank some money after growing money. I think exactly what you said.
So I guess a big point on the prices here is Nico Hines is going to be about 750. Nathan Cleary is going to be cheaper than him based on last year's average, mainly because of that -4 he got, which that 4 that he got when I captained him.
Yeah.
So he's expecting to be around 700, and then there's a massive drop down to Mitch Moses at 615, Jerome Hughes 600, and I guess there's not really many halfbacks other than those two that we're kind of going to chase. Potentially Sam Walker if you think the Roosters are going to start red hot, but historically they've kind of started slow and then peak right at the end. Sam Walker's pretty much going to be the same price he was last year, about 520.
I don't think there's any guns you really want to go near at that price. Not even Ben Hunt because he's got the buy in round 1. Yeah, honestly, I think it's one of them two. And if a cheapie pops up, then that's your other avenue. But I don't think many people could afford to go any other way unless, Daly Cherry Evans is one you can kind of start with at 577.
But buy round 2.
Buy round 2.
It's these buys, man. The buys are... Oh.
All right, so let's lock in Hines and Cleary with our remaining salary cap, 4.3 million. So what I like to do at this stage, we're getting quite low here. And the 5'8", when we look at the 5'8", there's nothing that completely stands out. There's obviously Dylan Brown, Cameron Munster.
There's actually 2 players for me that do stand out at 5'8". Adam Dewey at about 520 and Matt Burton at just under 500K as a I wouldn't say a premium option because they're a bit under a premium Munster of a 706, but an option that can really increase in price. Like they can go towards your 650K mark for sure if they start off hot. The Tigers have a pretty all right easy draw at the start, and I guess
I like the direction they're going as well, especially if they sign Bateman. He's going to be the goal kicker. Api Coruscant is huge. I cannot underestimate the signing of Api Coruscant, what he's going to do for the front foot footy that the Tigers are going to get from that.
Yeah, I mean, you show the difference between having a hooker or a decent hooker to an ordinary one. It's just you give the so much time to the halves, which is going to be your Dewey to create a lot of stuff. We saw last year Dewey didn't get much quality ball. The forwards are getting bashed because there was not much really go forward, and they've strengthened all right, the Tigers. I don't think they're going to make the 8, but I think they can definitely improve with the signings they've made.
Dewey was someone who really stood out to me, but I am sweating on that centre wing duel.
Yes. He did play a couple of games last year. I think it will depend on early season stuff, whether they give him the centre wing and 5'8".
Yeah.
If there's any whispers that Hastings is going to play 5'8" and Joe is going to play 13, then maybe. But I think he's just going to be 5'8" only, which is going to suck because if he was centre wing, then for sure he'd be in a lot of teams.
Yeah, I agree. If he's not centre wing, I think he's someone I could see myself starting with. Cameron Munster and Dylan Brown, after arguably career year for Munster, career year for Dylan Brown. I don't think they can back it up. I think they're still going to be up and thereabouts, but towards the end of the season, we saw that they were human. Actually, Dylan Brown actually killed it at the end of the season. It was that middle period that he kind of he was steady. And I see that happening for the start of the season for these two. So, although, Munster and Brown are at the World Cup. Dewey, he exited early from the World Cup. So, it's going to be quite interesting. And I would start with Dewey if he's not a centre wing. So let's lock it in.
Let's go the Dewey.
But usually, what I do here, our salary cap is getting low.
So you don't go these guys. You say this. Let's say that for last.
Yeah. So what I do is I skip to the fullback. I think you lock in your key positions, and then you go from there.
And I guess the big one, Sabs.
Yeah.
Your favourite player at fullback at a massive discount. Yes, Kalen Ponga at 442.
Actually, that is very good value. 442.
No, what I actually mean is your actual man crush.
Tom Trbojevic at 535,000. So Ryan Pappenhausen, I'm going to say it now. I'm ruling him out. 790,000 coming back from what is one of the worst injuries you can have as an explosive running back. He's taking a lot of time to recover, and when he comes back, he might be near his best, but he's not going to be as close to his best as we will want him to be. At the price, we can get better value with Latrell. 740,000. I'm ruling him out as well. He's the type of player that eases into a season.
And Souths have a very tough draw at the start. Not that it really matters for Latrell, but I guess
I was going to say
you prefer him bullying the ordinary teams because he's going to get another 30 points in goals rather than 10.
I got sucked into the draw trap from Latrell this season.
But it was priced a bit different the season just gone.
I'm not going to fall for that because he's great against the good sides, but he's the type of guy who needs match fitness, and he's not going to come in all guns blazing. He's going to warm into it, and the Rabbitohs do it every year. Rabbitohs, Roosters, the sides like that, they warm into it. Melbourne always come in hot, but Pappy, I just can't trust with that injury. Tedesco, I'm ruling him out as well. The Roosters always start very slow. Have a look at the last 3 years. Last year, everybody was selling off Tedesco because he lost 100, 150K.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold off on Teddy. And, it's Tommy Turbo at 530. It's Kalen Ponga at 440 or Reece Walsh.
Reece Walsh?
Yeah.
I don't know about Reece Walsh, mate. He won't be goal kicking.
He won't be goal kicking, but what's to say Adam Reynolds doesn't go down in the first round and he is the goal kicker after that? That being said, I think the Broncos side is good enough to give him a platform to play against. Going up again, I would probably go Ponga because he is going to be the goal kicker. But let's have a look at the Broncos draw. how easy is it to start? I don't know.
Oh, no, it's not. They have the worst draw over the whole season.
Oh, yeah. They got
Against Parramatta
Penrith round one. They got Penrith round one. Yeah, and they're playing a lot of top 8 sides. So what do you think of that fullback and that thought process? What would you go if you were doing something similar?
Well,
This is what I paid for my fullback position last year.
who were your fullbacks last year?
They were
was cheap.
Pappy and Teddy.
They were more than this.
No.
For sure.
Teddy was about 630, I reckon.
Mm.
And Pappy was about 590.
Well, these guys are a bit less than that. I think Tom's going to be in a lot of teams. I mean, what was he last year? 1.2 million. You're going to get him 700k cheaper.
Yeah.
I know he has a bye round 2, but they play. I think it's the Dogs round 1.
Okay, so Teddy started at 760 last year. 760, and then the Pappy started at. So he finished at 823, and he started at 694. So they were.
700.
So look how cheap we're getting all these fullbacks for. Like that's nuts.
Well, that just shows, like, I guess, how much of an outlier the year before last was. Like,
yeah,
scores were ridiculous, and I guess the slowing down of the 6 again sort of thing slowed down a lot of these high scorers, like your Tedesco's and perhaps actually improved, but Tom Trbojevic. So,
are you sure?
I think it's going to be a lot easier. I am 100% sure it is based 100%. Well, look at it this way. You got Tom Trbojevic, who the year before averaged, I think, 115. He averaged 61 last year.
Oh no! Are you sure that you've got this pricing right? Because 791's very cheap for an average of 90.
We had Nathan Cleary. What did he go? Averaged 95 the year before, because it's based on the exact same number.
Oh, true. Yep.
It's based on the 8. I think it's 8770 was, I think, the magic number.
Yeah. Okay.
Based on that. Yeah, man.
So I
know it's a bit of a shock. It's just because all the scores were down last year from the year before.
Yeah, and everyone started at that price. Yeah, Jesus, it's probably going to be a lot more manageable this year. I can't believe we got through last year and everyone got to a final side. All right, so we have 3.33 million left in our cap. Our fullbacks are in. Yeah, and our second rowers are in, our hooker front row. So, but we have gone a lot of value options. We haven't gone the out and out gun in every position. So maybe when we fill up our center wing and our 5'8", we might be able to upgrade some of our key positions. So let's go to our center wing, Joey Manu. He's an interesting one. What do we think of Joey Manu?
68K though for him.
I don't think as I said with Teddy, I think they start slow. Joey Manu has a history of starting slow. I'm putting a line through him.
So am I. If I was to go premiums, I'm looking at Val Holmes. The Cowboys have a ridiculously easy draw to begin with.
Yep.
I mean, he's going to cost you 604K, but I think he can be a solid score, probably potentially the top scorer for the first so many rounds. And I guess another one that has at a bigger discount than previous years is Brian Toto. I only averaged 59.3 last year, so that puts him at around 520K. He was like 700 and something K last year. Big Brian too. But going off your thing, he's playing in the World Cup, which means you obviously can't pick him.
I feel like half of these players are playing in the World Cup, so it's quite a redundant argument. Ruben Garrick is an interesting one. I actually like Manly and their signing of Seabold, and I think he's going to come into play at some point. Playing a position he hasn't played before in centre, though, I would hold off. But one that does tickle my fancy, Campbell Graham, if he starts on the wing. I really like him as a winger, and he's played really well. Sorry?
I don't think he's going to start on the wing. He's such a good
No,
centre.
he's not going to, so he won't be in my side. But he looks really good on the wing in the World Cup. So yeah, he's someone I would be eyeing off if that came about. It's very hard. I feel like you've got to choose a Valentine Holmes.
I really
Luke
like
Garner.
Valentine.
Are we putting Luke Garner in?
Oh, yes. Yep. Val Holmes at 604. Luke Garner at 3. $363.
I just went
on
past
the left edge for
I just went past one that you just scroll past one that I really like, and he signed with the Gold Coast Titans the other day. Aaron Shoop.
The Shoop.
The Shoop. What do you think of him at the Titans?
I don't know. I probably prefer him at the Bulldogs, to be honest.
He's probably
the Titans a bit of a crapshoot.
He's probably evenly priced, isn't he? So he's probably not underpriced.
The thing is with centre wings, we want players that are going to make money. We don't want ones that are going to stay at their price. I mean, that's historically what we've always done. We've always looked at the cheaper guys for centre wings because they kind of all stay the same price.
Yeah. So maybe we go
the Hammer fullback for the Dolphins at $275K.
Yep. There you go. He's in.
Remus Smith back from an injury for the Storm, $264.
That looks good.
I might throw those two in there.
Paul Alamotti for the Bulldogs.
I actually, with shop going, I fully expect the Dogs to go with Alamotti.
Yep.
I was talking to a few of my Bulldogs mates, and they were saying that they think this move is to free up a pathway to bring in Alamotti. So, I mean, he's going to be dirt cheap, and
yeah. And there's been so much chat about Alamotti, and he's someone with the current side that they're running out at the moment was probably not going to get a crack. Who have they been playing? They've got Avarillo at fullback. He potentially can go to a center, but they don't have a fullback, so he'll probably train at fullback. Yeah, so I like that one. What else have we got? This is extreme. Great podcast listening for the ears. So I'm sorry if we're just like, whoa, let's look through this. What's this one? What's the
so we're not really giving them anything. But if you're watching, obviously it'll make a bit more sense because we're just scrolling. But a lot of people have a play yourself. 100% have you play yourself. Look at sort of what you're going to be looking at with prices. It's just a bit of fun.
A lot of people. Charlie Staines, 300.
Savs, it's the same Charlie Staines. And he runs the game. He's just in a team that probably won't score as many tries.
He's in the worst team in the comp instead of the best team in the comp.
Where for Newcastle?
We're gonna have to fill it out with probably someone a bit more expensive, I reckon. So let's have a look at the 400K price range. Is there anyone there? Jojo Fafita is 390K. Surely we can find some value somewhere else.
It's gonna be, I don't know, unless cheapies pop up. I think that a lot of the Dolphins backs. I mean, you got Robert Jennings, but who wants to start with Robert Jennings?
Fare. The Van Lance Fare from the Dolphins.
What, are you expecting him to get a spot?
Yeah, the center wing. 100% he gets a spot.
Is he going to be a cheapie? He doesn't even play, does he?
He's never played. So, cheapie.
And we've got a lot of money. We'll just quickly go to 5A because I think this player is
Shields.
You think?
We can choose who we want.
We can do whatever we want.
This is a draft side, so I feel like we should just be talking about the players rather than worrying about actually filling a side.
Yeah. That's true. Who are some other players that people might go with? Up the top, Tungo, 523. Lomas has a bye first round, so no one's really going to touch the dragon. And he's the only dragon you would touch.
Honestly, with all the depth we're getting great value out of a lot of people because the scoring was so up the year before. We've got a nice cap and we've got money to play with this year by the looks of it. Is it worth getting someone like him and just copying it? And then he's a pod. He's a pod as soon as you jump out of the gates.
Yeah, well, I think it's going to depend on how many trades we get. I think that's going to be a big thing. Trades and I guess potentially maybe boost, because I think after round 1 you can kind of flip a center wing that has failed or a second roll that has failed. Potentially,
but also think of it. There's going to be 27 rounds, so there's going to be a lot more trades than we have in the past, and we're gonna have to manage them very carefully because there's a lot of rounds to do it in. 27 trades. Someone is on the buy every week, so just because it doesn't mean we need to not have everyone in our side playing round 1, because realistically, round 1 is the lowest scoring round of the year. Like, there's probably other rounds, but there's a good chance it's bottom 3, bottom 4 scoring rounds of the year. So if you take a hit, or not even necessarily a hit, you just take a risk and not choose, or you choose a person that's not playing in round 1, then that's a good tactic to go forward with. Obviously, St. George having the buy in round 1 they're not the most tempting side to choose from. But if you're choosing someone like a Zach Lomax, or I wouldn't choose Ben Hunt, but a Zach Lomax is probably the only one I would consider. I think it's not a terrible
last year, Mika Ravalawa. What's he at?
Just to get a pod.
Who's Ravalawa? Must be more expensive than I thought.
Yeah.
A few other players. Joe Sawali is going to be around 492.
Up.
Bradman Best 449. Love Bradman Best. Hasn't burnt me in the past.
Actually, I like Bradman Best too. Is he going to play on the wing?
There was rumours though at the end of last year that they want to turn him into the next Brian Toto. I mean, if they're going to do that, you kind of want a winger over a centre nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Staggs, same price as last year.
Nah. I know. Tim Moody will not be going him. He's already said never again. Tony Staggs.
All right, let's round out our side. Let's get our 5/8s in and see where we're at, and then finalize.
There's one 5/8 that we've missed. 5/8 / second roll that will be in everyone's team, Savs, for around 200K.
Yep.
Apparently he's looking fit, losing weight. Joshy Schuster.
And raining the house down.
Yeah, but I've heard that one before.
So Josh Schuster, let's get in Adam Dewey. We've got 500K. We've played this way too conservatively. So,
yeah, I guess like we said before, I think it's going to be a lot easier this year to pick a team than last year.
So, in my opinion, I think we're upgrading Brandon Smith at the front to Harry Grant. I think that's our first port of call. We can change a Niokora or a Lukey to a Brandon Smith if we like to. And you want to upgrade the fullback as well, do you?
I do.
There you go. We got a Tedesco, and now we have no cap left.
That's what you want to see.
Let's have a look at our side now. Let's round that out. That's a pretty good side. We've got Harry Grant, Mitch Kenny at the hooker area, Ruben Cotter, Christian Welch, Hetherington, and a cheapy front row forward in the front row. Dave Fafita, Helam Lukey, Niokora, Jermaine Hopgood, Alessi Katoa, Sean Bloor, Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines in the halves, Dewey and Schuster 5'8", Holmes, Garner, Tabuai Fado, Remus Smith, Harley Smith Shields, Valenci Fare, Paul Alamotti, and then we've got Tom Trebojevic and Tedesco at the back. It's a pretty good side.
Oh, I mean, yeah, just on first play around, obviously there's going to be players that pop up and that, everyone's going to hopefully some few cheapies. You expect with a new team there's going to be some cheapies, but
the main thing is we've got the key position sorted and we have a gun in each position. I think this year is going to be very, very easy, but at the same time, I think you got to choose the right players. It looks like it's going to be the year of the midi. Mikey is going to love it. It's the year of the Magic Midi. It's going to be about which ones to play, really.
Yeah, and I think it's just going to be so good with a buys so often. You can't be fielding nuffs. I think that's going to be the best thing. A lot of teams just early on load up with 3-4 nuffs, and then they burn out in the year hoping that they actually came good. But I mean, you can't really do that because you're going to get burnt way earlier than you did last year.
For sure. This was a great episode. I love how we've done something different today. So if you want to head over to your team picker, head over to the SuperCoach Experience discussion page and it'll be pinned up the top. And that's all you have to do. And get picking your side. It'll be available soon. BBL will start on the 29th of November. And next week, we started with an episode with Mason Teague last week. It was just a short episode to get our season started. Next week, we're going to have another interview. Not sure who just yet, but I've got some people lined up. It's just which one I choose. So
nice stuff.
Good off season. I'm glad we're getting into it. And SuperCoach NRL. When will that be back? Probably mid-January.
Yeah, well, I mean, they usually do some price releases mid-December, but I don't know if they will. It all depends on what the salary cap's going to do, whether they can actually do that or not. So usually it's around Australia Day when they actually release the proper thing.
The team picker, yeah. All right, guys. Cheers for tuning in, and thank you for joining our special team picker episode. Thank you, Jake, for building this. And if you want to get more work done from Jake, he's not going to do it for you. He's just going to do his team picker every year while he's at work and bored. There we go.
Yeah, just have fun with it, guys. I guess we'll be back with you when BBL starts. Hopefully Mikey makes an appearance. He didn't make many this year in NRL, so
he'll make the BBL. He gets into the BBL really good.
For someone who doesn't like cricket, he gets right into it.
He really does. He's such a stats-driven person, which is funny because he's in NRL, it's his head. That's what he's got to go with. NRL, he's got to do what he does in BBL because he does well in BBL.
Just go with the stats. Ignore the Panthers.
It's funny because it's the opposite for me. I always go with the cricket. I kind of go, who I think's a good player, but he goes stats. One more thing. What are you going to call your team? Have you thought about it?
Well, I mean, for the first year in however long, Raymond did say last year, but I think I'm keeping. I mean, we had a good year.
Really?
This year, so I think kiss my behinds. I think we're gonna stick with them.
When you ranked 50th, did you back up with the same name?
No, because Valentine Holmes left.
Oh, he left.
The NFL, I think.
The NFL. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've thought of some suggestions. Something to do with Bronson Xerri, I reckon. So, actually, you did have. Was it?
She's my cherry pie was one of them.
Kiss my cherry pie?
Nah, I can't remember. It was something to do with Jerry Pie.
My sweet Xerri pie or something like
that. And then he got axed for drugs. So.
For doping. He looks massive still.
He looks an absolute tank. He was playing bro.
Yeah, if he comes back and plays center, is he like?
Well, I think he's still got one more year. I think it's 2024 when he
can sign now. So he can sign from now.
You can sign for next year. Probably end up with the Roosters. Anyway.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad fit, especially if Suwali leaves. All right. Cheers for tuning in, and we'll see you very soon.
Cheers.